Well, what's up? Hey, welcome creators. It's great to hang out with you guys again for another Video Creators Podcast episode like we do every Tuesday here on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, and also on YouTube. And I'm really looking forward to what we're going to do today. We are going to dig into another consultation that I did with a YouTube creator, and they wanted to talk about their channel. And the reason I want to share this consultation with you guys is because so many of us have limited time in our day, right? Like, we don't have the resources to just create and crank out content. We got full-time jobs maybe outside of YouTube. We've got careers that we're pursuing. We have families and relationships, and we have budget constraints. And so it feels like there might be a lot of things working against us when you're looking at other channels and you're like, I just can't compete with all those guys because they can do all that and I can't because of this, right? So it can get kind of discouraging. And this consultation is a guy who is in a similar position as that. He has limited time, limited resources. He's got other things outside of YouTube, but he still really cares about his YouTube channel and really wants to grow it to a point that would sustain him and his family financially and make all the time that he is investing into it sustainable. And so what we did is we looked at his channel and we walked through what are the main things that he needs to focus on his channel. And I just talked with him about that. And I hope that the recording of our session here together is helpful for you guys, and as you work through some of these same issues maybe on your channel with your audience. If you would like to do a one-on-one session with me, you can sign up at videocreators.com, click on the consulting at the top, and book a session through there. And I really look forward to hopping into a private call with you guys and working on your channels with you as well. In the meantime, let's jump into this recording and learn with Jason.
The fantasy of every YouTuber is to go to go full time and wake up and like I've seen so many of your videos and seen so many other people. It's work, I come home and I put in a lot of work in front of that camera back there in front of that screen, and I'm anal retentive. I get obsessive about it, and then I'm thinking, do I really want to get up and do this shit every day? I'm not sure, but I do love doing it. But the goal, and I was telling my wife this, I see this as becoming, I see Tech Parental as becoming a larger business. And I registered for your course, and having YouTube be a part of that overall larger model. Yeah. As opposed to what I think most YouTubers are after. It's just like a YouTube career. You know what I mean? And I totally subscribe to your what you've been preaching since I've been watching you, and that is, you don't need 100,000 to do this. But I will also say that I feel like I'm challenged in the YouTube world because, and Sean and I talk about this, and we've had private discussions about this. There isn't a lot of search. Well, you can tell me your opinion. There isn't a lot of search traffic on YouTube regarding this topic.
Even if there was, I don't usually try to go after search traffic as my primary thing anymore. There might be a few different scenarios where I would. Search traffic can be great, but often, like, if someone's searching for, like in your channel, the headphone reviews, they're just looking for the headphone reviews. So they're gonna watch that video, get what they want, and then leave. And most people's YouTube analytics, they'll find that from an average view duration, that search traffic is the lowest, is the least valuable traffic source from an average view duration perspective. People are just searching for something, they'll find it, they get what they want, and they're out. And they don't typically convert to subscribers as at the same rate as someone who's finding you through suggestive videos, for example. And so I think you should totally target search. I'm not saying I'm not saying give up on that or don't make searchable things. That should definitely be part of your strategy. But overall, I think you're going to see the most success on your channel just from suggestive related videos. And parents who aren't even looking for this, but they're watching something else, and then your video pops up as suggested, maybe next to another tech channel review. So let's say, for example, let's just use an example. So maybe you're watching Unbox Therapy, you're looking at this new Samsung phone, you're like, oh man, that's so awesome. And then related to it is a video about like how to keep your child safe on the new Samsung phone. I don't know. And you're thinking like, okay, well, I wasn't thinking about getting this for my kid, but one day he's probably going to get it when I upgrade my next phone, and I'll pass this down to him. And so now maybe you're interested, and you're wondering, oh yeah, that like this review didn't talk anything about the parental safety controls on this device. And so now you're just getting that related traffic, and it's not something you searched for, but when you see the title and the thumbnail, you're like, oh, like this is something I'm interested in. This is important to me. And then you click and watch. And when that happens, you're more in like browsing YouTube mode, like you're just watching, you're kind of like killing time. So which means you're probably going to have an average viewing or a longer viewing session rather than getting on, like maybe you're thinking about buying these headphones. You got the tab open in Amazon ready to go, but you quickly go to YouTube, find a review, you find the one video, you watch, you're done, you go back to Amazon, like that search related traffic. Instead, you're just getting people browsing, viewing session, getting more watch time, things like that. So you should do both, but I'm thinking for your channel, I would focus primarily on the latter traffic source. So, does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So how can I do that? I mean,
yeah, let's do that. Well, a couple things.
Up until this minute, Tim, my whole goal, and I've just been, I guess, made to think that I have to rank, and like you said, ranking is not a bad thing, but like, and you always hear suggested videos, but just a strategy that doesn't primarily rely on ranking is.
Well, you're still ranking, but you're not ranking in search. You're ranking in suggested, right? So
well, that's what I mean, right? Ranking in something else other than search.
Right. This is the same way that family vloggers, for example, you're talking about the family niche here. Same thing that they do. Like they're not making searchable content necessarily. They're just teasing really enticing stories with their titles and thumbnails that they then tell in their actual video content itself. And so the same principle where people aren't really looking for I had a bad day, but they're just browsing YouTube, and here's a suggested video called I had a bad day, and it's a vlog, and it's a kid who looks like he's pulling his hair out, and maybe there's something like a parent in the background doing something, and now all kids are enticed. What's going on? What is this story? Like, I'm curious now, and then they start watching, and most of those family channels grow through the same strategy. So it's not necessarily a direct search query play as much as it is like YouTube knows you like this type of content, and so you're probably, because this is the type of content you're watching, so you're probably gonna like this one too, and they'll be more likely to suggest it. So so let's dig into your channel here first of all. And so the main thing I want to talk about, I guess, with you is the discoverability. We could talk about the money side, the business side, but you have the course, and so that's already going to give you what you need mostly for that. And you.
Wait a minute. What did you say? You said I had the course?
Yeah, the Turn YouTube into Your Career course.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's gonna give you way more than we could talk about here in an hour anyway. And plus, you're already thinking that right direction. Like, yes, I could do AdSense, but and you will, but there's far more lucrative ways to make money where you're actually delivering the same value people are subscribing to you for, but delivering that through other methods that people will also pay for. So that's great. So let's talk about what I'm going to do here. I'm going to share my screen so we can look at some of this stuff together. First thing I wanted to show you though is, I'm sure you probably know this stuff better than I do, and I know you have a lot of questions here that you left in your notes, and we can work through each of those questions too. Maybe we should do that first, and then we'll go through my notes for your channel just to make sure we have time for your questions. But I was looking at your stats here on Social Blade. And I think you're already doing pretty well. You're doing like 500 views a day. You're getting around 16,000 views a month. You did 100 subscribers in the past 30 days. And the trajectory of your channel is going the right direction. So, it's like any channel. It's not a straight upward climb all over time. It's got ups, it's got downs, but overall over time, it looks like it's going up, So I think that this is already going very well for you. Here's your channel. And what I want to do is talk about like, when someone comes to your channel wanting to subscribe, what is this going to do? We're going to run through this kind of quickly, then we'll jump into your questions. But, when most people subscribe to a channel, they subscribe on this button right here and this red subscribe button. And so when people, usually someone finds one of your other videos and they're like, oh, I like this guy. Like, what else does he have? And they come here to find out. In your analytics, you can see the exact numbers in your subscribe analytic on YouTube. But most people do subscribe right here to the tune of about like for every one person that subscribes beneath the video, a few hundred will subscribe right here on the front of the channel. So it's a pretty significant difference. So someone comes to your channel, the first thing I would recommend, like this header image. I just did a video like a week or two ago about this. So you can watch that. Maybe you did. But having like your face in it, making it more personable can be a big deal. It's my impression that most of the people who will be watching this, you think, are they guys or girls? Like moms?
Well, right now, I mean, my audience is probably three to one men, and I think it's because I had like a tech channel, and in the last, I feel like I may be I'm trying to gain the moms. I'm trying to get at the moms, Yeah. So right now, I think it's mostly men, but that's just the remnants of my tech channel.
Yeah. And the way you present your content is very male oriented as well. Now, I'm not a woman, so, you take my advice with a grain of salt here, but like you, I'm married. And so I think there's probably some things that once we talk about them here, you'll be like, oh yeah, women would totally connect with that more. And my audience is also primarily male for the same reason. The way I present content, I'm a guy. I present it like a guy. One of the things that all people respond to, not just women, that all people respond to more though is a personal connection, like a face. So here, your header image, I think it would be good to have your face on here, like brand it somewhere around, those glasses, that bald head, a little bit of scruff, whatever your normal look is, like have that. Like me, I always have the hat on. Like that's just like people don't recognize me when I take the hat off. They're like, "Do you even have hair under there?" I'm like, "I do a little bit," Yes.
I actually don't wear glasses
okay.
full time. Those are fake. But I read on your recommendation, actually on a lot of people's recommendation, but I read or I listened to the Primal Branding, and so the glasses and the black shirt are intentional. And my head, I shave my head now. That's what I do normally. But the glasses and the black shirt are part of what I'm trying to do in terms of icons. So
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it doesn't have to be glasses. It could be, you already have some icons going on, like this elephant with the. I'm not sure what's going on with the ear here, but
well, that's an elephant which represents family. Are you laughing, man? My wife is a graphic designer, and I got this thing on Fiverr, and I really liked it because I chose the elephant because it's a familial animal that cares for its young, and it's very nurturing, and I wanted something connected to tech, so I sent that whole concept to a guy on Fiverr, and I got back several different things, and I like this one the best. And my graphic designer wife says the same thing that you said. Like, what the hell is that? What is all that up there?
I don't. Now that you explain it, it makes sense. I was thinking more like you are super, like we're gonna barrel our way through this thing. Like we're just gonna plow ahead is what I was thinking. So it's not bad, it's just, I just wasn't sure. It didn't communicate very clearly right up front. Like, oh, I get it. This is what this is about. So a little bit of a story with it would make sense. You could totally redo it if you wanted to. But adding your face would make a better connection with people when they're coming to your channel for the first time. And it's not, obviously, rather than having just like a black background, having something that represents tech. Right now you should have a black background and it's mostly text. This image space, it should be used primarily to give a good visual representation of your channel so that when people see it, there's like, oh, I get it. Like they're not going to sit here and read all this most likely. So, having this and your tagline is great. and then you kind of say the same thing again. You know, you're explaining what you do here. That's fine. But if you could have a good visual of you and your son with a whole bunch of phones and iPads out in front of you or something and sitting down like smiling, like that would communicate more and be more personable and be more enticing than just text on the black background.
I was thinking of putting an image of my son. I didn't think of me, but yeah, I could do that. Put him and I with some tech around us and glowing on our faces. That's what I'm thinking.
I would not use the white background like you're using in your videos for up here, because it would blend into the background on YouTube too much. So don't use a white background. Use something that would have defined borders like this does. All right. And then the next thing is your channel trailer. It's very long, especially for a channel trailer. And there's a lot that goes into a pitch for a channel trailer, but for the first minute or two of this channel trailer, you talk about yourself, and you open it up by saying, "Parents, we need to talk." And I instantly felt like, oh, am I in trouble? Am I doing something wrong? You know, like, am I sitting down with a teacher at school? He's going to tell me something about what my kid is doing wrong, you know? And then the rest of the video isn't like that at all, but it just kind of opened up with like, oh, I was kind of a little bit on guard at first. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm just a hypersensitive parent or something. I don't know. But then you talked about yourself, your background and things, which is fine. Telling your story is important. But when someone's here thinking about subscribing, the thing that they're thinking about isn't like, who is this guy? What is his background? They're thinking, should I subscribe to this channel? Is this valuable for me? What am I going to get out of this channel? Is this the type of content that I need, that I'm looking for? So you got to answer those questions for those people right away, both in this channel, this header art right here, and this channel trailer. What you primarily do is you focus on what your channel does, and you do say a little bit about why it matters, keeping your family safe, sane, and connected. But most of it is like, we're doing tech reviews, we're doing advice, we're doing app reviews, things like that. And that's, you should say that, but I would focus more on what is the story that is going on in the life of your most ideal customer, your most ideal subscriber. And when they come to your channel, those are the first video they end up seeing here. Does it affirm that story that, yes, you're in the right place? This is the same story that I had. So look, when we opened up this call, you told me a story about you and your kid, and you do tell that in this video, but it's at like the 3 or 4 minute mark. And I'm guessing you might have lost a lot of your audience by then at that point, because these people, they're not subscribed yet. They're not super invested into your content. They're just here quickly to make an assessment, and then they're moving on. So that's why this needs to be closer to like 30 to 45 seconds. You can go up to a minute, but I wouldn't go any longer than that. And instead, I would open it up by talking about the problem that you are trying to solve. Tell it in a story format. And going back to the male versus woman thing on YouTube, women, all people connect to stories really well. So the more stories you tell, the better. But guys, or women especially, do on YouTube. It's the difference of like a guy like you and me. We would just come up here and just like both of us do on our channels, and we'll say, hey, you want to solve this problem? Here's how you do it. Step 1, step 2, step 3, we're done, we're out. Like, we just want the hard, cold, dirty facts, short, quick, sweet, and we're out, you know? Whereas a woman wants, from what I understand, is more likely to say, like, I want to hear the facts, but I want to do it in a relational way. Like, I want to hear what this means to you. I want to hear the story, you know, of how did this make you feel? How, like, what impact did this have on your son? You know, they want to hear that instead. So if you're going after more of a female audience, open it up like, maybe like me, you're a parent and, you know, you got a kid who is starting to get all the stuff and technology that we're just not even sure what it means or what it does. And it's just this whole unknown world for us. Like, that's where I was at, you know, and then tell a little bit about your story coming up into it. And now I have the son, and you can pitch the value of your channel through a story that way, and it'll have a much deeper connection with people watching your channel for the first time, because they'll feel like they're getting to know you, not just, I'm going to give you like 5 bullet points for this and then you're gone. Does that make sense? Because they could get that from anybody, but you want them to get it from you. And the way to do that, the way that's going to keep them coming back to you, is your story and that personal connection they feel. Make sense?
Yes.
So, so this is for the channel overall, not just a channel trailer, but I would consider maybe taking more of that storytelling approach in what you're doing, making your points as you need to, but remembering, telling your son's story and your story as you go through it. So open up the channel trailer, telling that story, which pitches the value of your channel, and then introduce yourself then after that. Like I said, by the way, because we haven't met, it's great to meet you, and introduce yourself. My name's Jason, and in this channel, the way we solve that problem is we do parenting advice and tech reviews and app reviews. So if you want to subscribe, you get our next video. I'd love to have you join us for our next video coming out on Thursday. Subscribe, and we'll see you then. Which is another thing. You say weekly videos. I would suggest picking a schedule, which is another thing I saw here, which we'll get to, I guess. But I couldn't figure out what the schedule was, or if there was one. So I would pick a schedule and commit to it, and let people know when to come back to your channel for new videos, so that they come back for new videos, as opposed to just coming to YouTube and accidentally seeing that you published a new video.
Yeah, it's been hard for me to get a schedule because of the different jobs, and I think I'm not sure if one of the questions I asked you in the template form, like the form I filled out when I registered for this session, was it's so hard juggling life and my jobs and my family, and trying to commit to creating something here. It's so tough. So I definitely understand about having it be like weekly videos every Thursday or something, but it's, if I say that, I know I may not meet it,
Well, what if it is important. So what if instead of doing like one video a week, this is the way I do it. So I will plan, I'll take a day and I'll plan out next 6-8 videos or so. I'll sit down and I'll shoot all of them all at once. And then I'll just get them edited. So I take like a day or two, just crank them all out. And now I have people on my team who do my editing now. But before, when I was doing my editing like you are, like I would just take a day or two and then be done for like the next month and a half, 2 months. And then I could focus on other things. And then when I only had about 2 or 3 videos left to go, then I go back and do another batch. And that made it more sustainable for me. So I wasn't making a new video every week, I'd have a lot more margin that way.
Right. I do some batching. It's the kind of stuff that I'm doing requires, I think you were mentioning this. That's why I related to you really well. Like some of the stuff you do, some of the videos you make require a good deal of research. And I don't know if you watched any of my videos, like I'm trying to be, and this was another question I wanted to get, and you kind of touched on it a little bit with my presentation to women and what women want and just relational stuff and stuff like that. But I'm trying to be infotainment, so to speak, like 70% information with some humor thrown in. Like I'll throw in to try to appeal to like an older millennial and Generation X crowd like I am at 42 years old. Clips from 80s shows and little commercials from the 80s that we grew up with and kind of throwing them in, to kind of break up just my talking head. So, those are like not highly produced, but they require a lot of work to produce. But also, like I've been following your model and Sean's model too. Like Sean says, like, sometimes, he and Benji don't have anything ready to go and they just go live. So I've been doing a weekly live, or trying to get into a weekly live routine, talking about something topical. Like I just talked about Trump's, the Covfefe Act, and how that's going to influence parenting. And I just did a cyberbullying thing last night on a new law that came out in Texas. So, that is no problem for me. Like creating a live video is great. I love it. It's zero work, so.
Well, I think going live is great. I would just make if you're going to make a few different buckets for content on your channel, I would say like one bucket would be your discoverable content. and another bucket would be your community content. And so the discoverable bucket is videos that you are making intentionally to go big. Not go big necessarily, but to get views, to bring in a new audience.
Kind of like the 7 tips to reduce screen time. Like that would be an example of that,
exactly,
right?
Yes. And those are probably be more likely to be polished, produced videos. Right. The live streams, that is a very strong community play. And the main goal there, the main audience for that are people who are these 1,000 people who are already subscribed, 1,100 people. This is to get them engaged. This is to make yourself accessible to them, to interact. Those typically don't do as well as discoverable content. And even the replay value with the people who are subscribed to your channel is typically low because of longer videos, and you're talking to other people who are there in the chat during it. You're giving shout outs to other people, and that's just
well, that's the thing. I'm not really doing a lot of that because of those 1,100 people. Maybe one, and this is a guy who I'm like a YouTube buddy of mine who I go on his live streams too and watch him talk about a projector. So I mean, despite the 1,100 people that have subscribed, I really don't have a lot of, like an audience, like a live audience watching me when I'm on there. One, maybe the most I've ever had was 5 people like concurrently. So now, and I mean, I just changed the channel to Tech Parental like 3 months ago. So
what I would do is, if you're going to do the live streaming thing, you're going to have to promote it ahead of time and announce it, let people know when it's coming, schedule it. You're going to have let people sign up for reminders. You're going to have to do it that way so that you get the value out of live that is really best for the value that is best for delivering. Otherwise, if you're going to do what you're doing, instead of going live, I would just record it with your webcam offline and then upload it. Because right now with your live streams, it's like, where was this one? Let's just do like this one from last week. It takes you, well, this one you got right into it. The other one, it was like 15 seconds before you started talking. And then it was like you trying to figure out how to get your notes up and things like that. And you're saying hi to some guy named Tim. I was like, wait, is he live right now? I was like, oh no, it must be a different guy named Tim.
Yeah, I'm still fussing around with OBS, and you hit start streaming, but then if you start too soon, but then if you wait too late, so there's a latency with OBS and the live.
That's why if you don't have an audience showing up for your live streams anyway, I would just record it offline, one take, use your webcam, make it simple, and then if you need to, you can trim the front and the end. You're not interrupting yourself to say hi to other people, which kind of is a little bit weird experience for people watching the replay later who can't see the chat, things like that. So I think that would probably be better, but that's still a really strong community video and not so much a discoverable. I mean, it could be a discoverable depending on how you produce it and things like that. But yeah, but being consistent is going to be important. And I know like it's hard to be with, family and work and everything. I have 6 kids, 7, baby number 7 is on the way, so I totally know how that is. It's just one of those things you got to figure out the rhythm of how you're going to do that. The other thing on your channel here is your playlists. You're using them the way most people do, which is to organize content, and they should be used to organize content. But the bigger goal of a playlist is to get people to watch a session of videos of yours. So I would just go and update these titles of these playlists and not just be like screen time for kids.
Well, if I could just interrupt, sure. Those are not just things I thought up of. I didn't just think screen time for kids. Like that is an actual search phrase that I feel is competitive for me to be aiming at. Same thing with headphones for kids. It's not, I mean, it happens to be a very simple title, but those are specific search terms that I've researched and thought to be gettable for me.
Yeah. Instead of the thing with it though is that it doesn't pitch any value. It could be a search term that has a lot of traffic, but it doesn't, it's missing the enticing factor. So you wouldn't, I mean, maybe you would, but most of the time you probably wouldn't just name a video headphones for kids, just because no one's going to click and watch that video if it's just headphones for kids. It's got to be best headphones for kids. It's got to be, 10 best kids headphones, something that like pitches a little bit more value. So most comfortable headphones for kids, or the best value headphones for kids, or something like that. So it's got to tell me a little bit more, make it a little bit more enticing. Let me feel like I need to watch this, not just because I'm just a kid headphone junkie or something. Screen time for kids, like this also it's telling me something, but it's not pitching too, like it's not telling me what I'm going to get. What's the reward that I'm going to feel as a result of watching these videos? Instead, if it was like how to limit screen time for kids, how to monitor screen time for kids, that's a little bit more context, a little bit more information, a little bit more of an enticing title.
Gotcha.
Internet safety for kids, like how to keep your kids safe on the internet, would be, maybe it's not this exact keyword, but the way YouTube works, it's not exact keyword matching anyway. It is, it's about like the idea. In SEO, it's called user intent. So if you search for top music videos, you'll get one of the results you'll see is a playlist for Billboard Top 100. Right, so it's not an exact keyword match, but you can see how that's a relevant result for music videos. Is Billboard Top 100. Same thing. YouTube can read at around a 6th grade reading level. So if you just put how to keep your kids safe on the internet, that would be just as fine, most likely, as internet safety for kids.
Yes. Okay. Good. That's good to know, because I was targeting these phrases because they were the phrases that I was targeting in those areas anyway. So that's good. I didn't know that YouTube and Google have a 6th grade reading level.
Yeah, they're pretty smart. So like one of my top videos, one I did with Daryl Eves, and this one right here. And the reason why it has 4.5 million views is this actually ranks for is how to get more YouTube views. But you can see like the word YouTube isn't even in my title here. How to is, but the word grow, that's not in the search query. Subscribers isn't it? So, but YouTube knows it's not an exact keyword matching game. It was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, like a long time ago, but YouTube's gotten smart now, and it's more about the user's intent. What are they looking for? And delivering good results for that based on the amount of watch time it gets and the session time it leads to, things like that. So all that makes sense about your playlists?
Yes.
Cool. Now I also want to talk a little bit about your content itself, and just a few quick tips about some of this. You open up all your videos with a call to action to subscribe. Like before you even get into the content, you're saying like, hey, if this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe, and hit that bell icon, things like that. I recommend you put that at the end, and for a few reasons. One, if someone clicks wanting to see the safest headphones for kids, and they click on this, like they're not actually even getting to the content until about 45 seconds into it. I think in your audience retention graphs on YouTube will show you exactly what's happening, but I'm going to expect that you're having probably a higher abandonment rate than you need to be having right in those first opening seconds. So you do often come on, you're like, hey, today we're going to talk about this, but it's usually you're saying pretty much what the title already said. So it's not adding like more enticing information. It's affirming for the viewer that they're in the right spot. So that's good. But I wonder if you don't open up with a quick story that quickly entices, like, my kid uses a lot of different headphones. We burnt them through them really quickly, and these just keep breaking. This one hurt his ears, and it was like way too loud. And so I wanted to search what are the safest headphones for kids. And today I want to share with you guys what I discovered. Like that's like a little bit of a story. It's a little bit longer. It's additional information than just, you guys, let's talk about the safest headphone for kids today, and then you start your intro. Okay. The other reason I put the subscribe call to action at the end is because to me, it just feels like like when creators do this, it feels like the creator is asking for something before they've actually delivered anything. It's like, you do something for me before I do something for you. And I know no one means it that way. It's not the heart of the attitude behind it. But I like, here, let me just make the goal of this video first and foremost, just give you the information you need. Let me just make it so it serves you, so you get into like the value you need really well. You're a busy working parent. I get that, so you're just gonna get right into it. Then at the end, if they're like, wow, this is really helpful, this is really cool, and then you say something like, if this is your first time here, I'd love to have you subscribe because you can get more content like this. It's going to help you keep your family safe, sane, and connected. Or I said that in the wrong order, didn't I?
You got it.
Oh, no, I did. I can say sane and connected, yeah. Then they're like, heck yeah. And then they're more likely to click subscribe. And you'll have less audience abandonment and things like that. So,
but Tim, I feel like, and I hear you. Like, offer value first, connect to them with a story and how headphones, my kid burns through them. But like, no one's making it to the end of my videos, and I know if people like the stuff, even before I ask, they might, well, maybe will subscribe. But no one's getting to the end of my stuff. I mean, my videos are 5-6 minutes, maybe, and people are getting to, like, the average is like 2 or 3.
Right. The people who get to the end of the video will be far more likely to subscribe than the ones who abandoned it. And they didn't subscribe just because you told them to in the beginning before you delivered value. So, I mean, you will get people who passively subscribe, but that's why you can have 1,000, 1,100 subscribers and averaging 30, 40, 50 views, maybe 100 because you're giving something away, but per video. So you can boost that subscriber number a little bit more, but I don't know if they're like how valuable those subscribers are. They're just gonna be the ones that passively click, oh, sure, okay, whatever, I think you'll get more valuable subscribers by doing it at the end, and it'll be people who actually want to follow you and get your next video because now they know why, because they just got good value from you. And if your people aren't sticking around to the end anyway, it's probably because you're not, are your audience retention graphs, are they just a slow decline over time? Or is there like a quick drop, flat, and then a quick drop again?
They vary. Some look funny, and some look like a cliff, and some look like a slope. So
okay. Well, if you have the slope, that typically means that you just didn't hook the viewer well enough in the beginning, and they just kind of, they just weren't enticed. There wasn't anything necessary that led them to just like abandon. It was just like overall, there just wasn't anything to keep them there. And so people just kind of tried it out and eventually went away. If you see that big cliff, what I would expect, I would suggest you go look, maybe you already know, is your audience retention is probably going to go down until you start delivering content. And then it's probably going to flatten out a little bit with the people who are still around. And then it'll start going down when you start giving the triggers at the end that the video's over. Like, hey, thanks for watching. It was valuable. I want to hear what you think, that type of stuff. We'll be like, okay, video's over. I'm gone.
I have trouble reading. One of the things I wanted to ask you, and it was in my notes, was like, I'm very poor with analytics. I mean, I'm a psychologist and trained with statistics, but for some reason, I look at all those numbers and they don't make a lot. They don't make a ton of sense.
Those are your questions.
And I look at analytics on one video, and I'll watch myself and say, okay, at 2 minutes, I see a dip. Okay, so wait a minute. And sometimes I can, like, it doesn't seem like I'm in the middle of a sentence or I'm shifting to kind of a new thing, like a new scene or something. So it's hard for me to understand and read my analytics and know which, there's so much information, and I don't know which bits of information I need to be focusing on at my stage in this journey.
Yeah. The top ones I would recommend are going to be your audience retention graphs. And it's just like being so familiar with them that when you start editing these videos, your future videos, you can tell, like, you know what, like usually when this happens in my videos, people leave. Or this doesn't usually seem to keep or hold people's attention. Or maybe you're going to be like, you know what, I just need to reapproach my entire format of my videos and experiment with something like a new format or a new approach, as because of this. And that's
what I'm thinking, actually.
Yeah, and at this size, you should totally be doing that. I just try new things and see what like you respond. Like maybe there's one format that you enjoy the most that you end up doing, just for personal reasons because you like it or something. But yeah, the audience retention graphs are going to be very important. The traffic sources are also going to be very important, and the traffic sources are going to tell you where you're getting most of your traffic on YouTube. And so you want to look and see, all right, how are my subscribers engaging with my content versus non-subscribers? If you could get your traffic, your overall traffic to be like 80-90%, even more non-subscribe for your content, non-subscribers, that would be really good because you're going to make money based on the views, not necessarily. YouTube doesn't pay you for subscribers, so but getting that exposure then is also going to grow your subscriber base as well. So I would focus on seeing if you can make content that people who have never heard of you before want to watch, and see if you can get that up. And that goes back to the discovery bucket, which we talked about a little bit before, and intentionally maybe making like 80% of your content is going to be discoverable and the other 20 is going to be community. And so each time you make a video, you know in your head, okay, this is supposed to be a discoverable video. So I'm going to approach it this way. And when I'm talking to the camera, I know I'm talking to people who have never heard of me before, not part of my community yet. So you're going to talk to the camera differently to those people than you would someone like that would just be for your community. In some way. The other, what was the other, like I was saying, watch time, of course, you want to make sure that your watch time, but that's part of your viewing or your average view duration stuff too, is increasing that watch time with that. So.
You say view duration is the same as saying audience retention, you mean, right?
Audience retention is, they're very similar. Audience retention is how long someone watches your video or where they abandon it. It's usually like a percentage. But the main number you're going after isn't the percentage, it's more the duration. So you can have a 10-minute video with 50% retention. That's 5 minutes on average people are watching. That's better than a 2-minute video where people watch 100% because that's only 2 minutes. So 5 minutes is better than 2. That's what YouTube's going after. All other things being considered equal and things like that, of course. There's a lot more to it than that. But watch time is what you want. Then at the end of your videos, I would recommend that you have a pretty long sign off where you're wrapping things up, and one of the most valuable traffic sources from an average view duration perspective are these end cards right here. But you kind of start letting people feel like the video is over pretty quickly. So if you can show these end cards, they only show up for the first or the final 20 seconds of the video. So if you got 20 seconds, the first 5 seconds of that should be you still wrapping up your content, like actually still delivering good value. And then the other 15 seconds should be you just quickly, wrapping it up and getting that video done so that people will see these. You still have people around to your videos to watch these and click and watch the next one. And when that happens, people who do that, they are worth like twice as much watch time from an average view duration perspective than any other traffic source on a channel typically. So it's really important that you get people to watch your video, to watch the full video, and then click on another one of your cards to go watch another video. That's what's going to make Google love your channel because you're increasing watch time and session watch time. Okay. Let's see here. My notes, and we'll jump back into your questions here. Just a few little things. I think you should be writing longer descriptions for these. A lot of the times it's kind of the same thing that the title is. And remember that it's not about keyword matching. Google can read. So write a good 5, 6, 7, write a good paragraph of content here. Keep your keywords in mind for your video, but just write them out in normal conversational English and do it that way and give Google more information about your video. When you do your Amazon links, technically, are these affiliate links?
Yes.
Yeah. So technically you should have like parentheses affiliate and parentheses behind it or something like that. You know, you do say it down here, but you would probably legally be just fine having them. You just say some of the links. Just be more specific, maybe, just to avoid any trouble that identify which links. Obviously, these links aren't affiliates. So just say like Amazon links in this description are affiliate links. That type of thing.
Okay.
Let's see.
I wanted to ask your opinion of my, what video was I watching? I wanted to just get your opinion on my presence, my on-screen presence. I know we talked about men and women, and I present like a guy. Just speak to me. What do you think of my comfort level, or on live videos, or the produced ones? I mean, what do you think?
Overall, it's pretty solid. I feel that you are presenting. How do I say this? Like, it's more like a TV personality than a YouTube personality. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you can be just fine doing that. But it felt more like you're presenting a show rather than inviting me into your office or your living room and showing me these things that your kid or your family's using, So you can do the show. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. But it felt like this is coming up in 3, 2, 1, and that, it's a good ritual. You keep that in there from a primal branding perspective. But it felt kind of like 3, 2, 1, action, rather than, hey guys, good to see you again. Man, I've been having so much fun with my kid. We've been playing with this phone and, he loves it. Don't you love it? Yeah, this is great. But there's one problem with it, we can't do this, that, or the other thing. Let me show you guys how we solve that problem. It's a little bit more, a little less showy. Does that make sense? And I'm not saying you should change your style. I'm just saying like those are the kind of the two approaches. And I felt like you were more on like more on the television produced type of approach.
Yeah. I thought about that. And I look at a lot of other parenting channels, and they are like not what I do. They are like, you see their living room. I just don't want to, you know what it is, Tim? I love having all this stuff in one room, and I have a screen. And I mean, I bought all this equipment slowly over time, and I like just being able to do, and I don't want to have to clean up, what my messy house looks like to be shooting. I mean, sometimes if I'll just do something on the living room to shoot AJ with headphones on, but it's kind of hard to model after what I see a lot of other parenting and family vlog channels do. They're just showing their whole house, and I don't want to do that.
Well, here overall, I liked watching your channel.
But I do want to be more friendly and less formal, which I think I am a little formal, but I try to throw in some jokes.
It's more of a presentation than a conversation. Yeah. But I overall though, I like watching your channel because what you're doing here is exactly how I got started. Everyone starts doing something like, I had a white background. I had way too much light. It was like blasting from all directions. Not yours was already way better than mine was in that case. Well, some of your images are overexposed because you have too much light and too much whiteness, and you're not using the manual settings maybe on the camera, things like that. It's exactly how I got started. You go look at my first videos when I started doing more of this type of approach on the Real SEO channel from years ago. It looks just like yours. And the main thing, like we opened this up, I was showing you in the Social Blade stats that your channel is doing well for where you're at with the publishing frequency that you have, with the audience you're reaching. Like I think it is going well, and these are some things that would increase that, I think, pretty exponentially actually for you. And it's just a matter of time until
What did you say? What did you say about like the channel increasing exponentially? I didn't catch that.
Some of these things we're talking about, like paying attention to those audience retention graphs and learning so that when you're shooting and editing, you'll start to feel like, oh, I can't do it this way. People are going to abandon the video at this point. That type of thing. And these titles and we haven't talked about thumbnails yet, but branding overall, the presentation, moving the subscribe thing to the end, making more story based and not just like presentation, like all those things I think are all going to add up to make a big difference for you. And having a posting schedule for sure will helpful for that when people know when to come back and watch a new video. But your channel is already doing well. And I think some of the things you're going through right now are things like you and every creator just needs to go through. They're things I went through. They're things every successful creator on the platform went through. There's no shortcut around it. You just got to make like a lot of overexposed videos and things until you start getting to the point you're like, oh, I see how I need to do this better now. And it's just slowly improving and growing over time as you pay attention and doing exactly what you are doing. I can tell you care. You're talking with people like me and Sean about it, which is great. Like, you'll do it. You're going to get there. You're going to arrive and it'll be great for you. But it's just part of that growing process every creator has to go through. So that's why I liked watching your channel, because it reminded me of me. As a compliment, by the way. That's not a criticism.
No, if I'm somewhere along your path, that would be great for me. That would be really awesome.
Thumbnails are relatively good. I think you could do a little bit, like, I love this one. Your son, he's so cute. And this one too. But overall, I think like the same principle you're talking about, tell a story around this tech and these reviews and things that you're doing, and tease that story with your title and your thumbnail. So 5 more tips to reduce screen time. Well, one is kind of unnecessary to repeat the title and the thumbnail that you're just doing that's in the title. It's better if you're going to use text. It's best just use a big clear visual that teases the story you want to tell. And just
wait, sorry, you just broke up for a second. You said if I'm going to use text in a thumbnail, what's next?
If you're going to use text in a thumbnail, don't repeat the title of the video in the thumbnail. If you're going to use, it's best if you just have one clear big visual that tells the story just visually by itself. It doesn't need text. That works best. If you need to use text, you can, but that text, use it to complement the title in some way, not just repeat the title. So another like a thumbnail here, reducing screen time, might be a better one. Might be a thumbnail of maybe your kid. Maybe let's take this picture yourself, but your kid just like throwing the iPad behind him, right? He's like, I'm done with this. He's like, he looks like he's running outside to play and he's throwing the iPad behind him. Like, that tells a story be a little bit more that goes along with this. So put some pillows down on the ground so when he throws it, it doesn't break. You don't have to show that in the thumbnail, right? But just some things like that. Safe headphones for kids. Headphones here are the main object and they're really small. So people who are on mobile might not see these as clearly. I would make the headphones like a really big close up. Like, if I was doing this thumbnail, I would have cropped like right here, made it like this part right there, and gotten rid of all the white space around them. I don't know. Does that make sense what I'm saying about? I could go in more examples, but does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, it was good meeting you, and thank you for letting me go through your channel with you. And I enjoyed doing it, so appreciate it. I'm looking forward to seeing where you're at in a year as you do some of these things and make your posting schedule consistent and thumbnails, title, all that.
I have one more question. Actually, it's just an opinion. I've been through Twitter, and mostly through Twitter, I've been like discovering other people that do similar things to me. Like they maybe one focuses on internet safety. Another person is like a cyberbullying expert. And my area is kind of like covering all of it, like apps, internet safety, cyberbullying, screen time. I'm kind of a generalist person. But there are people on Twitter that focus on these micro parts of this thing. And like we've chatted and stuff, and I'm in some Facebook groups with other people. And I want to start interviewing authors and some of these people that focus on these things. And I want to kind of do this thing and broadcast it live. What is the best way to do that? Not to get in touch with them. I think I can convince them, but is there any software that you recommend, or do you recommend me doing that at all?
To record the interviews? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I mean, do you think that kind of content would be good on my channel? Like having cyberbullying expert on my channel?
I am about to find out. I have a podcast, the Video Creators Podcast, and I'm taking one of the things I'm going to be experimenting with, like we talked about you doing it, I'm doing it as well, is recording these podcast interviews that I do, just recording the video version of them as well, and then putting that full 20, 30, 40, even an hour long conversation just as a video on YouTube to see how people respond to that as well. Typically, they don't do as well as like a more produced video would, but from a watch time perspective, though, it might be really good. So I would consider experimenting with it, or it does well for me as a podcast. So you might find like starting a podcast might be a better option and avenue for those, for dads and moms who are in the car with commutes and things like that, to listen to those. An easy way to do it as far as tech is concerned, if you want an app to review, are you familiar with the app Anchor? Are you familiar with that app?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So it's a really easy podcasting app. You can like do phone call interviews. People can call in, leave questions. You publish it to your feed. It makes it pretty easy to do a podcast that way, just from your phone.
Anchor.
Anchor.fm is the website. Full disclosure, I'm about to be sponsored by them. I'm not yet, but we just did the deal, so it's just not in ink yet. That's all. But so just so you know, but I'm going to be using them for a little while now and promoting them as well. But that might work well for you. The other way to do it is just on Skype. I found if you're doing video, Skype has the best video quality for recording. I use a little program called Call Recorder from Ecamm, ECAMM. So if you search for Skype call recorder, you'll probably just find it. But actually, I think I have a affiliate for it. Maybe not. I don't care. Just search for that. And then if you're doing video, that's the best quality video to record. And then if you're going to do just audio, you can also use Skype and Ecamm, the call recorder, just to record the audio. And it's fine. It's decent. But I use a website called Zencastr for recording audio interviews, because it's just no software to install. It's very simple and easy for anyone to use. So did I cut out, or did you get that?
Yeah, it was cutting out. I didn't hear like the last 10 seconds maybe.
Oh, okay. Zencastr.com is what I use for audio. Yeah, Zencastr. And you can have multiple. On Skype, you can only have 2 people for the interview. On Zencastr, you can have lots of people on, and you record everyone as individual tracks. So if one person's really quiet, you can later go and boost just their audio, whereas Skype is going to mix everyone down into one, which is kind of annoying. So
I see when you do your I think it's a Saturday or Sunday, or you have your sessions with Evan Carmichael and Antonio and all the people on the screen. I mean, I don't anticipate having more than one person. Maybe I'd have
for that. That's this program right here is what I use for that.
What's that?
This program we're in right now. This is what I use for those calls.
What's it called?
Zoom. The program we're using right now. That's what I use for when I have everyone in one call together. I just give everyone this call ID and we all hop in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet. Well, it's good meeting you. And look forward to hearing your story in another, 6 months, a year from now or something. And it'll be fun to catch up and hear where you're at. I just had one person I talked to last year. They emailed me this morning. I did a session with them. They said, Tim, we just got started. Remember us when we talked to you? Our goal is to get 1 million subscribers and 500 million views by the end of the year. And he said, we did a session with you, in case you don't remember. And now it's July and we passed 1 million subscribers and we're doing 500 million views. We have 500 million views. We did it in 7 months. And I was like, that's awesome. So I love hearing stories like that.
Well, I hope to get a fraction of that success and call you back in 6 months.
There you go. Yep. Sweet, man. All right. Well, have a great day then, and we'll catch up sometime later.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
See ya.
Bye.
I loved talking with Jason. That was awesome. He is a really cool guy, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens on his channel. You can find links to his channel and everything in the show notes. If you're listening to the audio, you can find all that stuff down there. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, there will be links in the description. You can go check him out down there as well. And looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. If you're watching this on YouTube, what advice would you give to Jason? Comment down below. And if you're listening to the audio of this in iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, or Google Play, you can tweet me at Tim Schmoyer. I'd love to hear from you. Or in the show notes of this episode, you will find a link that goes over to the post of this podcast episode at videocreators.com, and you can leave your comments and things for Jason and for myself there and help each other out and continue to support each other. I'm really looking forward to hearing all that from you guys. I'd love to have you subscribe to the podcast. We're doing this for you every single Tuesday, so subscribe on any of those platforms: SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, YouTube, wherever. And I'll see you guys again next week for another Video Creators podcast. I'll see you guys then. Bye.